Okay, good evening, everyone. It is Tuesday, February 20th, and I'd like to welcome you to our regularly scheduled City Council meeting. We're really happy you're here this evening, and I'm going to call this meeting to order. We're going to begin by rising for the Pledge of Allegiance, and then we're going to stay standing for the words of inspiration, which will be brought to us tonight by Deacon Chris Stark from Guardian Angels Church. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Deacon Stark.
Mayor, Council, thank you for having me. In the Gospel of Matthew chapter 6, Jesus teaches his disciples how to pray. And he says, don't be long-winded. God knows what you need, right? Get to the point. But in the Lord's Prayer, he teaches us, forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. What does that mean? It means, God, hold me accountable to the amount of mercy that I show to the other. Meaning, if I'm not willing to be merciful, I'm not entitled to your mercy, God. And so, as citizens, as neighbors, we're called to love our God and love our neighbor, and we demonstrate that love for neighbor by showing mercy towards the other. Well, wait a minute. They never apologized. That's between them and God, but you showing mercy is between you and God. Have a great meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Wise words. Roll call, please. Michelle.
Councilmember Anderson.
Here.
Councilmember Binkowski.
Here.
Mayor Milan.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffitt.
Present.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Here.
First item we have is the approval of our agenda. Would someone like to approve our agenda?
Madam Mayor, I move that we approve the agenda as presented.
Support.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski.
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffitt.
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Thank you. We've approved our agenda, and we will move to the first item that is following that, which is public comment for items on the agenda. If you would like to speak towards any item that is on our agenda, please make your way to the podium. We'd ask that you keep your comments to 3 minutes and that you would state your name and address. Not seeing anyone move towards the podium, we'll move from public comment to proclamations and presentations. And tonight we have a presentation and an update from the Clawson Youth Assistance. Pam Strzelski, and I know I just killed your name, Pam, I apologize. You can tell us how to say it the correct way when you make your way to the podium.
Good evening. My name's Pam Strzelski. I am a casework supervisor with Oakland County Youth Assistance, so I'm employed by the Circuit Court Family Division. I wanted to, typically we have a caseworker that comes in and presents with our board chair. We're in between caseworkers right now. Our caseworker just moved on to a new job and we're hiring. So you get me. So it's really a great pleasure and an honor to be here. I first want to talk a little bit about some things that are happening with juvenile justice that are impacting everyone in the state. There's something called juvenile justice reform coming up, and what that really means to the communities around the state is that they're finding that locking kids up is not the best way to provide treatment and positive solutions and help kids to progress. So we're going towards a model of keeping kids more often in the community when they've committed small crimes. And so the good news is that Clawson Youth Assistance is already here and has been here. In order to address those things, to work with kids and families when troubles begin. So we're just excited that we've already been doing this all along. This is an initiative that's going across the state right now, and Oakland County's already got this down. So that's the good news. I'd like to thank you for your sponsorship. being part of our tri-sponsorship. I just wanted to share with you that because of your sponsorship, the court sponsorship, and the school district, Clawson Youth Assistance on their own this past year was able to raise over $6,000 to provide services to the kids in the Clawson community. Some of the events that they've done, I know when I speak them, you're all going to be familiar with them. The Trick or Treat Trail that they do every year, that's a tradition here. Over 2,000 kids attended the Trick or Treat Trail this past year. Clawson Youth Assistance is really big on helping families to have fun together and to enjoy being a family together. So they sponsored 2 events, one at the Tigers game over the summer. Over 50 people attended that, youth and families together. They did a trip to the water park. 75 people attended that. They had to cut it off because they didn't have any more room. So families want these kind of opportunities. I think that people are so busy working and getting kids to their soccer games and this and that, that the whole idea of just spending time as a family is becoming harder and harder to do. So it's important that we make these opportunities available. During the month of December, typically Youth Assistance adopts families in need for Christmas. They match businesses get donations or gifts from local businesses to share with families. Every year in May, there's a youth recognition event where youth are recognized for being kind people. Right? There's plenty of awards, banquets in the schools for scholar athletes and our, straight A students. This is specifically for kids who are doing good things in the community, who are helping out other kids on the playground, who are volunteering their Saturdays to help coaches with teaching kids how to play soccer. If you've never been to the event, some of you, I know I've seen you there year after year, but if you've never been, I encourage you to come. It's May 8th. At the Hunter Center, and it's a great event to see what cool things kids are doing to help their community. This year, Clawson Youth Assistance has done something new. They're running open gym nights for middle school kids on Friday nights at the middle school. That's huge to keep kids active and busy on a Friday night. And so far, it's been a big success. The last one was January, then they took a break, and they'll be going back to it in March. So I just really want to thank you for your continued sponsorship, to thank you and the city for the great work that you do and the way that you really care about the most important citizens, the kids. Just one more thing I'd like to share is that Oakland County Youth Assistance just received a pretty large grant, and we will be giving Clawson Youth Assistance some funds to do more programming in the community. We're looking at possibly if there's a way to reach kids like at a community center or an after-school program of some sort, that we can help fund some programming for that. So that's just like hot off the press. We haven't even discussed it or developed it yet, but we're looking forward to continuing more things for youth and families. Do you have any questions?
No questions. But thank you, Pam, for all
Thank
you
you.
do.
Thank you.
We're really proud that you support our families and our kids, and Youth Assistance does some really great things. We really appreciate it. Next up, we will approve our consent agenda.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Support.
So the consent agenda consists of minutes of the regular city council meeting held on Tuesday, February 6th, minutes of the city council workshop held on Tuesday, February 13th, 2024, and a list of bills in the amount of $1,409,518.30. As that's been approved, roll call, please.
Councilmember Binkowski.
Yes.
Mayor Milan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett.
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Wonderful, thank you. We have approved our consent agenda. We'll move on to item number 9, which is new business. Our new business looks like a lot, but there are a lot of super little things here. We can run through these pretty quickly tonight. First item is item 9A, which is consideration of the special event request from Penny Lubes, Clawson Youth Assistance, to use the Clawson City Park for the 2024 Trick or Treat Trail.
So moved.
Thank you. The second?
Support.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and City Council, our city staff, and everyone who's here tonight to watch our meeting and watching from home. So our Trick or Treat Trail is one of our signature events in youth assistance. Is always the Sunday before trick or treating, so it's October 22nd from 6 to 7:30. I close the parking lot off at 3 o'clock so that the cars and children are not in close proximity to each other. I have about 25 groups and businesses annually that participate to hand out treats to children in costume who trick or treat on the trail. It's a marvelous event. We all have fun. We have donuts and cider under the pavilion. Donuts and cider are provided by Parks and Rec. So I would like to ask your permission to continue to use the parking lot on that Sunday from 3 to 8.
Okay. Do we have any questions or concerns?
Clarification. So you said the Sunday before Halloween, correct?
That Sunday, the DDA usually does their, or that weekend, the DDA usually does their trick-or-treating, so we're going the Sunday before.
Okay, so that would be the 20. I just wanted to make sure, because
Yes.
the way you said it, I was thinking we may have had a mistake there, but thank you for the clarification.
Wait, so we're sticking to the 20th date? The date that's on here, which is the 20th?
Is that the 20th?
Yes.
Sorry, then I was
Yeah,
looking at
you
the wrong
said,
calendar.
what you said versus what's on the paper was
Yes,
different. That's why I
yes,
want clarification.
yes.
And then our DDA director was shaking her head, so I want to confirm we're good with dates. Is that true? Okay, we're good. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we don't want to coincide or
Conflict
have a
with-
conflict with other community groups. We should all work together.
Absolutely. Okay, so then if no other comments, let's roll call, please.
Mayor Milan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett.
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson.
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski.
Yes.
Okay, so everyone has plenty of time to plan their Halloween costumes and also plan a cute booth, because you can volunteer for that event. You can have a little space and pass out candy, and it's lots of fun. So you have plenty of time for that, and we will see you there on October 20th. And Penny, who is, if new people might not know, Penny not only serves as a great volunteer for lots of things in our community, she formerly served as mayor of this community, but she's currently our Oakland County representative. So she's going to stay there for a moment because she has the next item on our agenda as well, which is item 9B, consideration of the special event request from Penny Lubes on Sunday Summer Park Market to use the Clawson City Park parking area for the 2024 Sunday Summer Park Markets.
So moved.
Support.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have our market, our Clawson Farmers Market, 7 Sundays a year. This year, they will be May 19th, June 9th, June 23rd, July 14th, July 28th, August 11th, and August 25th. So May 19th is our opening day, and then through June, July, and August, they're the second and fourth Sundays at Clawson City Park in the parking lot again. So we have music and themed events. We have farmers, crafters. One day will be Touch a Truck Day. We have obstacle inflatables. We have free yoga in the park on Sundays at 10:30, with the exception of June 23rd when we have free Zumba. We also will have House of Barbecue food truck and a few other food trucks depending on their availability. Last year, we had a donut food truck and a cotton candy gal there. So something for everybody. Again, the draw is to bring families out in a positive environment and provide nutritional opportunities and fun things to see. With crafters, you don't know what you want until you see it.
Yes, sir.
I'm curious as to the organization of the farmers market. Is there a nonprofit behind it, or?
We don't have a nonprofit, we have a committee, and we have a treasurer, and we bank through T&I.
Okay. So there's no legal organization that you report to with your incomes and expenditures?
We do our reporting as required with the monies we get. We charge $15 for vendors, $5 for nonprofits, and we started last year $10 a week for flea market people.
And where does that money go? Into the bank?
That money goes to the bank and it goes back out because we pay the musicians, we pay the themed events and the different people who are there.
But you've not set up any kind of nonprofit?
No, we don't have a nonprofit.
Any other questions?
Just to clarify the time, so May 19th is the start, come rain or shine, snow,
Correct.
okay,
From 9 to 1.
okay.
No.
But it's, you never know.
You're right.
It says that you'll need to start setup at 7:30 in the morning and clean up finish by 1 o'clock.
What ends at 1.
Ends
So
at 1, okay.
most people most everybody's gone by 1:30. It's a long day in the sun.
Okay.
Except the farmer that usually stays till 2.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
They have many tables to take down.
Yes. Okay. Anything else? Roll call, please, Michelle.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski,
No.
Mayor Milan.
Yes. Okay, thank you. That passes, and we will look forward to our Sunday Summer Park Market and all the activities it will bring. Make sure you get out. There really is something for everyone every time, and they put a lot of work into this for a small thing, and it'd be nice to see it grow. So thank you, Penny, for this and for all that you do.
We are always looking for vendors, and this year I know the Friends of the Library is having their annual bazaar. And the date does not coincide with one of the market days. So,
Yay.
all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item 9C, we have consideration of a special events request by the Clawson Downtown Development Authority for the 17th Annual Cinema in the Street to be held on South Main Street at 14 Mile Road.
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening. So we have another Cinema in the Street, and it is moved back a weekend. So with the 4th of July having more events, we, at the request of the police department, just moved our event another Saturday. So we are all set there and looking for another successful cinema and looking for suggestions for a movie. So anyone that has one, please send it to DDA Director at cityofclawson.com. Look on our website at previous movies, and you get an idea of what we're looking for. So hope to have a good crowd. I was shaking my head no about Halloween because Penny said our DDA held it on Sunday, and I was like, no.
Oh, yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's yeah.
It's
I just wanted to
Saturday.
make sure you were
It's just
covered.
Yeah, that was it. That was the reason. So,
And for anyone who may not know, this is Joan Horton. She is our DDA Director.
yes. So, any questions about the cinema?
Just the movie, but you don't have one yet.
We don't have
We're
one
leaving
yet.
that to you,
Yeah,
Glenn.
it's-
Con-
If it was up my kid,
Confer
it
with
would
your
be
boys and get back to us.
Future.
Oh, that would be
Really?
so cool.
Oh, I don't think, no, we have not done that. We usually try to find one that isn't so current that the parents are already burned out on it because
Yeah.
it's on DVD at home and they've seen it 27 times and can repeat every character line.
Yeah.
So if we find one that the parents kind of remember when they were younger, then they can revisit a movie that they liked. The kids typically fall asleep after the first half hour, so yeah, it kind of makes everybody happy that way. So we've had pretty good luck so far, and we'll keep Back to the Future in mind for this year. Thank you.
Haven't you had a stipulation in the past, like you can't do
No.
Walt Disney or Disney? Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So no suggestions of Disney movies.
We always get them anyway, but
I mean, half of them may be now anyway, right? So,
yeah, I know, it's difficult to find one. I'd love to do a really old movie, but there
Yeah.
hasn't been any backing for that.
Casablanca?
so- Right, yeah.
Love to
yeah.
see that.
I know, wouldn't that be fun?
Oh, you should do an Andy Rooney movie, and then we can we can make a show.
Exactly. We're an old musical, and everybody could dance along.
would
There's
be
so
so
many
fun.
ideas, so,
Do you remember The Incredible Mr. Limpet? Does
I do.
anyone remember that? That's when it
yes,
happened.
I do.
World War II.
And the other one, Mr. Chicken, the haunted house that Don Knotts did, that was also
Oh,
good.
yeah.
Yeah.
Possibilities are endless.
They are. They just keep on going. So please send them our way. We'll have a vote. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming in this evening. Roll call, or please, yes, let's vote on this.
Councilmember Shepherd?
yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Great. We will have our Cinema in the Street on July 13th, movie to be determined. Moving on to item 9D, we have consideration of a special events request by the Clawson Parks and Recreation Department to conduct the Fall Fest event at the Clawson City Park.
So move.
Thank you.
Yeah. Hi, guys. I'm Gina with Parks and Rec. This is one of our favorite annual events. We moved it last year to the last weekend in September, when I think that really worked for people, so we're going to ride that one. We'll have vendors, food trucks, music, hay rides. Of course, the fire department will be there to do the bonfire, cider and donuts, I think some inflatables, all that good stuff. It'll be 3 to 7, per usual, on September 28th. Ideally, if we get approved.
Well, you did an exceptional job last year. It was great. You had perfect weather, but it was
I
such
know.
a nice event, such a good balance of activity.
We've got a great
food
crew.
options, things for people to do.
I'm lucky, we've got a great crew.
You did a great job. Yeah, your whole team did a great job. It was just really an exceptional event. So, anyone else?
You said 3 to 7, this says 3 to 8.
By the time they're done with the bonfire starts around 7-ish or so, 6:37, and so by the time that's done, usually we're clearing out by 8.
Gotcha.
That's the goal.
She won't encourage leavers and everyone out till late.
You don't have to go home if you can't stay
She
there.
expires at 8. Okay, roll call, please. Thank you.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yeah. Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
thank you. We have
Thank you.
approved our annual Fall Fest to be held on September 28th. And as you can tell, Clawson is just a great place to be for activities moving forward. Not to be outdone, we have agenda item 9E, which is consideration of approving the special event permit request by the Friends of the Blair Memorial Library to conduct their annual Blair Memorial Bazaar.
I move the special event permit requested by the Friends of the Blair Memorial Library for the annual Blair Memorial Bazaar be approved for Saturday, June 1st, from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. be approved as presented.
Support.
Thank you. And I see we have representatives from the Blair Memorial Friends of the Library. Would you like to speak?
No, I'm just hiding in case you have any questions, but it's pretty much the same format.
So they have vendors, they sell plants, they sell food trucks, right? And also a really great event, some really great products. People need to get there. And they also have things for sale that benefit the library, like the great tote bags, if they still have some left, or, yeah, good way to support our library and our local people. Do we have any questions? No, roll call, please, Michelle.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Great, another great event. Don't forget, the Blair, I can't say this for some of the annual Blair Memorial Bazaar. I don't know what it is. It's so simple, but I think you see those bees together or something. I'm making excuses for being lame. I don't know, but it's going to be a great event. Make sure you go on Saturday, June 1st. Moving on to real work, real business now. We're going to stop talking about fun things. Well, no, this is great. Actually, sorry, Nick, I shouldn't even say that. This is something really exceptional too. Not an activity coming up, but activity that has already taken place. Item 9F is consideration of receiving and filing the 2023 Planning Commission annual report for the city of Clawson. The Planning Commission has been so busy over the past year, if you look at the packet they gave us.
Madam Mayor, I move the 2023 Planning Commission Annual Report for the City of Clawson be received and filed with the city clerk.
Support.
Thank you. Nick Stepnitz.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So the Michigan Planning Enabling Act requires that the Planning Commission prepares, files, and presents an annual written report to the City Council each year. This document is intended to meet the state requirement as well as provide an overview of the 2023 accomplishments. That has been provided to you in your packet, and I would be happy to answer any questions.
Nick, what's your favorite accomplishment of the past year of the Planning Commission?
Can't pick one. It's just the momentum we keep building, and we're bringing in a lot of great businesses here.
That's great. One thing I would like to do, and I probably can't find the piece of paper, but I'd really like to acknowledge the people who served on the Planning Commission over the past year. If you can do that for us, do you have?
Yes.
You can do it just off the top
I'd be
of your
happy
head.
to. So this year we've had Mr. Greg Kucera serve as the chair, Mr. Richard Scott as the secretary, Ms. Erin Redmond as the vice chair. We also had serving on the board Mr. Laurent Ushai, Mr. Sam Fitzer, Mr. Evan Carpenter, Mr. Josh Solomon, Mr. Brian Colber, and Mr. Scott Tinlin. Also who served in 2023 was Mr. Scott Watson, Mr. Nathan Hara, Mr. Ed Sinaki, and Mr. Mike Twidell. So each of them attended a meeting at some point, had a part in a vote, and definitely impacted what we were able to accomplish in 2023.
Yeah, and people may not know that the Planning Commission is a board that probably is one of the heaviest lifting boards that we have. They spend a lot of time together in trying to come up with ideas to keep our city moving forward. And we really appreciate those who are willing to serve in that capacity, because it really is, there are a few boards and commissions that don't meet often, or their meetings are very brief. Planning Commission meetings can tend to go on for a while, depending on what the topic is. And it's a lot. It's just a lot. So we really appreciate the people who serve in that capacity. And thank you for all you've done to kind of mold our city moving forward. Do we have anyone else? Glenn, do you have anything to add?
No, I just say it was, I certainly enjoyed and found it worthwhile for the time that I spent on there, and encourage anybody to seek that opportunity if you so desire, encourage it. Yeah, but you're right, it does tend to run a little long, so I'll shut up now, since I probably will.
You just want to keep ours. You want to just prove that they meet longer than us, right? Okay, anyone else have anything regarding this topic? Okay, then we need a roll call, please. Michelle?
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Thank you. We've received our annual Planning Commission report, and it will be filed accordingly. We'll move on to item 9G. 9G has to do with the Planning Commission. It is consideration of the reappointment of Richard Scott to the Planning Commission term to expire November 31st, 2026. Mr. Scott currently serves on the Planning Commission, and this is a reappointment.
I move the reappointment of Richard Scott to the Planning Commission for a term to expire December 31st, 2026.
Support.
Thank you. Any comments, concerns? Roll call, please.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes. That was
Councilmember
yes,
Shepherd?
sorry.
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes. Thank you. Mr. Scott has been approved to resume or continue his seat on the Planning Commission. Mr. Scott, thank you for your willingness to serve. Moving on to item 9H, we have consideration of the reappointment of Jennifer Perkins to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Her term is to expire December 31st, 2025.
I move the reappointment of Jennifer Perkins to the Zoning Board of Appeals for a term to expire December 31st, 2025 be approved.
Support.
Any comments or concerns? No? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer, for your willingness to serve. We appreciate your being on our board, and you will we will allot you that seat until December 31st, 2025, at which time we will probably want to reappoint you again, so don't go anywhere. Moving on to item 9I is consideration of the reappointment of Eva Burns to the Compensation Commission, term to expire December 31st, 2028.
Madam Mayor, I move the reappointment of Ava Burns to the Compensation Commission for a term to expire December 31st, 2028.
Support.
Any comments, concerns? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Thank you. We have just approved Eva Burns' reappointment to the Compensation Committee. And if you know Eva, she serves in many capacities throughout the community, and we do appreciate her volunteerism. She's a great example of what it takes to be involved in a community, so thank you for that. We're going to move on to item 9J, which is consideration of the reappointment of Jeff Heng to the Compensation Commission, term to expire December 31st, 2028.
Madam Mayor, I move the reappointment of Jeff Heng to the Compensation Commission for a term to expire December 31st, 2028.
Support.
Any comments, concerns? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Congratulations, Mr. Heng. Thank you for your willingness to serve. And Jeff is another one of our volunteers who serves in different capacities. So we do appreciate him and his willingness to be a good citizen for Clawson as well. So we're going to move on to item 9K, which is consideration of a resolution to amend the Michigan Employees Retirement System Healthcare Savings Defined Contribution Program for the Clawson non-union employees.
Madam Mayor, I move to amend the Michigan Employees Retirement System, MERS, Healthcare Savings Defined Contribution Program payment amount to $600 per quarter for Clawson non-union employees, Division 657719, be approved.
Support.
Thank you. Mr. Raker?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As part of the past labor agreements, new hires after July 1st, 2004, do not receive retiree health care. They are enrolled in the Michigan Employees Retirement System Retire Health Care Savings Plan. When they retire from Clawson, they will use the savings account to pay for their health care benefits after retirement. As part of negotiations, the city has agreed to increase the amount paid into the Retire Health Care Savings Account for qualified non-union employees from $300 per quarter to $600 per quarter. These payments will continue to be sent to MERS on a quarterly basis. This is a housekeeping action required by MERS in support of this provision.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions?
You said these are part of negotiations, but these are non-union employees.
That's correct.
So who does that,
This is to give it parity with the union employees. The next two contracts the next two items are for the unions.
Okay.
There's no other questions. Roll call, please.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Thank you. We have agreed to amend the Michigan Employees Retirement System Healthcare Savings Defined Contribution Program payment amount to $600 per quarter for Clawson non-union employees. We'll move on to the next item, item 9L, which is consideration of a resolution to amend the Michigan Employees Retirement System Healthcare Savings Defined Contribution Program for the Clawson AFSCME employees.
Madam Mayor, I move to amend the Michigan Employees Retirement System MERS Healthcare Savings Defined Contribution Program payment amount to $600 per quarter for Clawson AFSCME employees, Division 656586, be approved.
Support.
Any questions?
Just for clarification, this is the same thing, but specifically for AFSCME union.
Right. Okay, then roll call, please, Michelle?
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes. Thank you. We have approved that same $600 payment to the AFSCME workers. We'll move on to item 9M, which is consideration of a resolution to amend the Michigan Employees Retirement System Healthcare Savings Defined Contribution Program for the Clawson Police employees.
Madam Mayor, I move to amend the Michigan Employees Retirement System MERS Healthcare Savings Defined Contribution Program payment amount to $600 per quarter for Clawson Police Employees, Division 656585, be approved.
Support.
Mr. Raker, would you like to give your disclaimer?
This is actually for both police unions, both command and patrol.
Okay. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Thank you. We have approved amending our MERS contribution for the Clawson Police employees to $600 per quarter. And we move on to item number 9N, which is consideration of a resolution in support of the application of a redevelopment Class C liquor license sought by Resin LLC, DBA Pandemonium, to be located at 76 through 84 West 14 Mile Road.
Madam Mayor, I move that the application for Resin LLC DBA Pandemonium for a redevelopment Class C liquor license to be located at address 76-84 West 14 Mile Road be approved, and that it is the consensus of this body that it recommends this application be considered for approval by the Michigan Liquor Control Commission.
Support. Thank you. Who's going to? Yes. Nick, do you, I don't know whom I'm throwing.
Sure. So, Madam Mayor, Reason LLC, doing business as Pandemonium, is making plans to take over the space that has been vacated by Lim's Palace at 76 to 84 West 14 Mile. They are making application with the Michigan Liquor Control Commission for the redevelopment Class C liquor license and have agreed to comply with the requirements set forth. In order to submit the application to the MLCC, it requires a resolution by the local legislative body. The resolution form is attached. The site plan has been approved to renovate the restaurant with interior upgrades and improvements to the exterior facade. Seasonal outdoor dining will be created with the closure of the drive access on the west side of the property and the addition of windows on the west facade. The restaurant will have a gross floor area of 3,000 square feet and will provide seating for 70 diners, along with outdoor patio seating to accommodate additional diners. Proposed hours of operation, 5 days a week, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday from 12 p.m. to 12 a.m. and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. And as the DDA director mentioned, the applicant is here to answer any questions.
Rob and Ellen Dionisio? Welcome to Clawson.
Thank you. Yes, I'm Rob. Thank you for having us here. I'm Rob, and this is my wife, Ellen Dionisio. We both born in Michigan, raised just a few miles from here. I'm your next door neighbor. I grew up in Troy. Learned all my cooking from my grandmother and from her mom as well. And we're just really excited to be here. And the liquor is a very small part where we just want to use that to enhance or to complement the food. And we're really excited to be here because our biggest thing is to make Filipino food as noticeable or as commonplace as like Chinese restaurants. So if you go into any Filipino restaurant here, which is about 7 or 8, that's it, Michigan, I want everyone to feel comfortable going to any of them, not just ours. We want to expand the whole community. And what better place to start than right here off of 14 Mile, right off of I-75, and it's going to be it'll be a great place to be. We're really excited.
We're
if there's
excited
any
to have you.
questions, I'd love to answer any questions that you would.
Does anyone have any questions?
No, I think you probably went through all the questions you needed through planning, so we don't need to ask those here unless we really want to.
Outstanding. Good.
Well, thank you for coming, and we look forward to patronizing your business. It looks
Thank
like
you.
it's going to be beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Thank you. We have approved the application from Resin LLC for a redevelopment Class C liquor license to be approved for the Michigan Liquor License Committee. Wonderful. Moving on to item 9.
Oh.
I'm looking at it going, is it O? Is it 0?
We haven't gotten
Because at
that
this
far.
time and day, it would bother me to have it over a 0. Consideration of the first reading of an ordinance to amend the City of Clawson Code of Ordinance, Chapter 46, Offenses and Miscellaneous Provisions, Article 3, Offenses Against Property, Section 46 through 84, Trespass, to add specific punishment for the violation.
So moved.
Support.
Thank you. Mr. Nushai or Mr. Baker, who's,
I'll read the summary and rationale. The Clawson Code of Ordinance, Section 46 to 84, trespasses, defines the crime of trespassing onto and remaining on another's property when otherwise not privileged to do so. Currently, the ordinance does not contain within a specific statement concerning the punishment for the violation of the ordinance. The ordinance does reference MCL 750-552, the statutes concerning trespass, which carries with it punishment. Please see the attached. The city attorney is respectfully requesting that in order to avoid confusion, we amend section 46 through 84 to add the specific punishment for the violation as stated in this amendment.
And Madam Mayor, I can give you the briefest additional explanation. In our Code of Ordinances, we do have a general penalty section, which is section 1-7 of our Code of Ordinances. And that, anywhere we don't have a specific penalty attached, that kicks in, which is 90 days and $500 as the fine. However, as a municipality, we can never issue a sanction greater than what the state sanctions an individual by statute. And the state statute being 30 days and $250 in fine, we have a discrepancy. We've never had the issue, but sometimes when the trespass violation is issued by ticket, the magistrates in our district court may default, and have done so at least on a couple of occasions, have defaulted in a 90-day $500. Sanction, which would be incorrect, inappropriate. And so just to avoid confusion, it hasn't been an issue per se, but to avoid confusion, we sought to make the specific amendment to add the penalty on this specific ordinance to make it 30 days and $250.
anyone have any questions, Alder?
If the state were to change the ordinance or their statute, would we have to then change our ordinance? Is it possible maybe should we revise this so it just says what the state says?
Yeah, yes, the state could. Trespass is unique. Most sanctions that we have are always greater than anything we as a municipality would ever sanction someone. Our sort of top limit is 93 days and $500 fine. And most state statutes that we have, even for any misdemeanors out there, are typically, something greater than either 93 days or greater than. So in this particular case, I think it's a fair solution to simply state what to offer what the state has. I could foresee that happening. I don't know that anybody's going to revisit trespass or trespassing by way of sanction in the state legislature. I think if and when it does, we probably could do exactly that. With respect to our other ordinances, I took a quick look, and this was an ordinance that didn't go through the Ordinance Review Committee because we're only dealing with this particular sanction. As we do our review, as the Ordinance Review Committee does its review and then starts presenting to council, there may be an opportunity to be able to do so overall, to have a larger sanction and a larger statement for ordinances that do not have something specific outlined.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Nope. Roll call, please.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Thank you. We have approved the first reading of the ordinance regarding Chapter 46, offenses and miscellaneous provisions. We'll move on to number 10 on our agenda, which is old unfinished business. Do we have any old unfinished business? We do not, so we will move on to item number 11, which is public comment for items not on the agenda. If you would like to speak for any item that is not on the agenda, we ask you come to the podium and we will allot you 3 minutes. We ask that you give your name and address. Good evening.
Good evening. My name is Julia Beatty. I reside at 159 North Bywood Avenue. I'm here tonight to provide a personal dimension to the ongoing correspondence we've had for quite a while now. While I've detailed the challenges we face regarding flooding, new construction, and an aged, failing sewer system at the intersection of Bywood and Broadacre, sometimes it's essential to put a face to the narrative to truly grasp the perspective of the people who it impacts. I wear many hats. I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm an educator. I've been deeply invested in Clawson for the past decade. I cherish much about our community, our traditions, our schools, and the vibrant people who call the city home. My family enjoys simple pleasures like biking, going for walks, grabbing coffee downtown. However, the persisting sewer issues profoundly affect us, and especially in the low-lying area of Bywood and Broadacre. 2 months after moving in, the 2014 rainfall inundated our basement with 3 feet of human sewage, resulting in chaos and displacement, evacuating with my infant daughter and my husband carrying only essentials, and balancing work while overseeing repairs was a harrowing experience. And it is a narrative I share with countless others. My story is not unique. However, what is unique to Bywood and Broadacre is that it continues to flood. And the city has approved developments in a low-lying area with no sewer updates. Since 2014, I've tirelessly engaged with city officials, attended meetings, and collaborated with engineers both at the local and county levels. I saw insights from the communities such as Essex, Ontario, Dearborn, Berkeley, and Troy who have tackled similar flooding challenges. Frankly, I'd rather be home with my family than continuing to contact you, attend meetings, and document damages. It brings me no joy. Yet the prolonged inaction from the city compels me to be here tonight. Lake Bywood has sadly become a city joke, and the current construction compounds the issues of flooding, with thousands of additional gallons of runoff with each rainfall. While I appreciate that discussions about solutions are finally underway, after a decade of stagnation, mere conversation falls short. It reflects a broken system that has neglected its citizen and our properties. So my question for you is simple. What concrete steps will you do to prevent our intersection from flooding this summer? And what long-term planning is in place to prevent flooding instances over the next decade? This matter may not be urgent to you, but it is urgent for the residents in front of you. It is time for the city to get to work and take action. Thank you.
Thank you, Julia.
Hi, me again. My name is Linda Hale. I live at 940 West Selfridge, and I'm here to bring up the fact that we've been here time and time again looking for the city support for the purchase of Shawm. And while I firmly believe that our infrastructure is very important, and so are the schools, and I think that putting 40 houses on the Shawm site is only going to make the flooding worse. There's one thing. And the other thing is, I think that while infrastructure is very important, so is Shawm and saving that site and the green space that it provides. And I also know that Hunter, we've gone through this over and over again, needs a lot of work and will cost a lot of money to repair and to bring up to snuff for the city. And I think that the city should not maybe be so short-sighted as to overlook the purchase of Shawm, if at all possible, from the school district. Because we could develop Shawm, we could develop the building, we could make it into a larger community center, one that provides assistance for not only youth, but seniors, for Parks and Rec. We could do a lot of things with it. We could rent out rooms to offset the cost. I know a lot of people that would maybe want to have baby showers there or wedding showers there that can't afford to go to a restaurant. So there's a lot of ways that we could offset the cost of the building. I also think that if it's possible at all, I'd like to ask everybody. I mean, nobody's really given me any answer besides Mr. Riker, and he is opposed, I know. But it's true. I just believe that if the city were to put their minds together, that it could really benefit the city. Because once you let go of Shawm, once the school system sells it off to a contractor, it's gone forever, forever. The roads will crumble, the sewer system will have to be replaced eventually, but we'll never, ever have Shawm back. We'll never have that green space, we'll never have that building, and we won't be able to have a bigger footprint and a nicer city building, something that we can be proud of, something that we can have, like I said, all different services at. So I would like to ask everybody, I'd like everybody's opinion. We've been here over and over again. And individually, how do you feel about it? I know you're not supposed to answer, but could we get an answer? I know that you think that there's just the 3 old people that show up all the time, but I invited some friends, and there's a lot more of us. And if we need to do a petition, we will. And if we need to go and beg the school board, we will. But we've paid taxes. We've paid those taxes for Shawm, for all the schools, over and over and over again. We should have say-so, and we should have that building. So give me an answer. Thanks.
Hello, this evening. My name is Jenny Shawm, and this is my leader dog, Karma. We live at 1046 West Selfridge Boulevard, and we are again here to talk about the Shawm School being part of the park. That school has existed for decades and decades. It was the last one built of those out away from the campus situation that we have now and what we originally had decades and decades and decades ago. And we need to have this part of the park. My colleagues and I from the community have given ideas for raising money, bond issues, grants, etc. We could even have a bake sale. And we've given ideas for using the building. It's much larger than Hunter. We could have pickleball courts indoors and out. This is a going thing that we don't have much of here in Clawson, but other communities have it. So my challenge to the council, since we have been here ad infinitum, what do we have to do to convince you to let this happen? What has to happen from you guys to have this happen? Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
You knew I couldn't get away without saying something. My name's Ron McCauley, 1008 West Selfridge. During these discussions tonight, I've heard from people about the Parks and Recreation. There's a member here that's on the Oakland County Parks and Recreation. Is there any way that they can get us some funding to help with making Shawm a park and recreational facility? What about the state? What about the federal government? Is there ways we can get money from them for park and recreation? You know, I don't know. That you guys know all that stuff. The other thing is that we've been here for, at least for the last 3 months, and we've hinted that we'd like to get it on the agenda, not under open mic, but on the agenda, so when the agenda goes out, people can see it in the community and see what's going on. But we haven't been able to do that. So we'd like to get Shawm on the agenda, at least for next time, and then go from there. And we've asked and asked and asked. We're not getting any response for that. And that's all I got tonight, I think. Thank you.
Thank you.
How many people are here for keeping Shawm open? That's just an indication of a few people. You got to see all of them.
Hi.
Hi.
I'm Claire Baker. I live at 1047 West Selfridge, and I just want to say that I came in support for keeping the Shawm Green open area as well. I have 3 children that are 9, 7, and 4, so this is my first opportunity to attend. As you can imagine, I'm a busy mom. But we take them up to the Shelm playground all the time. We go to the soccer fields there and kick the balls. We play on the basketball courts. And losing that space to homes would be, it's sad for the community. I think it's, like Linda said, once it's gone forever. So that's my comment.
Thank you.
Good evening, members of the Clawson City Council, administration, and fellow residents. My name is Lindsay Banis, and I have been a proud resident of Clawson for 14 years, living at 1136 North Selfridge Boulevard. Today, I stand before you with a goal to inspire and encourage our community and its leaders to embody the essence of the Golden Rule, to treat each other fairly, equitably, and as we ourselves would want to be treated. This principle, I believe, is foundational for fostering a harmonious and respectful community. The first concern I wish to address involves our city manager, Joseph Recker. It pains me to say that there has been a notable violation of the fiscal year 2023-2024 City Council and Administration goals and objectives, specifically Objective 1 of Goal 2, which mandates ensuring effective, meaningful communication within our community to foster an engaged and informed citizenry. Regrettably, my attempts to communicate with Mr. Recker on November 7th, 2023, via voicemail, and an email sent on November 8th, 2023, were met with silence. I received no callback or email response. This lack of communication contradicts the very essence of Objective 1, and I am compelled to ask, on behalf of the people of Clawson, what prevented you, Mr. Recker, from responding to my attempts at dialogue? Moving on to my second point, I have grave concerns regarding the accuracy and integrity of public records associated with not only my property, but all properties within our city. On February 7th, 2024, I found discrepancies and false entries in Clawson's BS&A portal concerning my property. These inaccuracies are not only defamatory, affecting my personal character, but also depreciate the value of my property. For example, there was an enforcement action incorrectly recorded and backdated on the night of February 7th, 2024. And another enforcement has been wrongly left open for over 2 years relating to alleged unauthorized work on August 19th, 2021. However, my contractor had actually obtained the necessary permit from the city a week after the supposed violation. Additionally, a baseless inspection and violation were recorded on October 25th, 2023, during a time when no construction was taking place on my property. These inaccuracies raise concerns about who is accountable for maintaining truthful records on the BS&A online portal. I strongly encourage every resident of Clawson to review their property records on this portal to ensure their accuracy. Lastly, I wish to address concerns related to the independent City of Clawson Board of Ethics. The significant overlap of roles involving Renice Newshai, serving as city attorney, prosecuting attorney, city council member, and legal advisor to the Board of Ethics, presents a clear conflict of interest. This arrangement undermines the independence and integrity of the Board of Ethics, contravening the powers and duties outlined in City of Clawson Ordinance number 754. It is implausible for a complaint to be impartially investigated against Mr. Newshai when he advises the very board responsible for such investigations. On behalf of the people of Clawson and pursuant to MCL Act 318 of 1968, I petition for the removal of Mr. Rennie Snushai as advisor to the Independent Board of Ethics to safeguard the impartiality and integrity of the board. In conclusion, these issues are not merely administrative, but strike at the heart of our community's values and our trust in local governance. I urge the City Council and administration to take these concerns seriously, not just for the sake of accountability and integrity, but as a testament to our commitment to treating each other with the fairness, respect, and dignity that we all deserve. Thank you for your time and attention.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak?
My name is Terry Martin. I live at 45 Bowers. I'm here about the 150 North Main Clausen LLC, which is the apartment complex that is to go in where the old PNC Bank was. I just attended the Planning Commission, which I was notified 2 weeks before the Planning Commission would have basically ruled their final decision with that project, I believe. And the people involved in the project, mainly, I would say Sandy Cronenberg, who is the agent for the Capitalist Investment Company, I'm sorry, I get really upset when I think about this because my house is right next door to this. They are planning a apartment complex. It was supposed to be mixed use, as you would remember back in the day when you were mayor, that it's supposed to be mixed use, but they're going to try to change or redo some of the zoning. Let me see, I have it written down here. To request zoning deviations, which would mean they want to have a common room in the main port of the building to let people lease out using Wi-Fi. I suppose that's what it is. And there would be 35 efficiencies, 25 one-bedroom apartments, and 5 two-bedroom apartments, which are 64 units. And they would allow and have 76 parking units available to these people. And we are already very squeezed for parking in our area. The city parking lot I live right across from, which is where the Detroit Burger Bar and restaurants are, and it is always full when they're open. It's filled all the time. A lot of the employees are using the PNC employee parking structure right now to park their vehicles. And then with the parking that they want to try to create on the street, and then with the infrastructure trying to even zone it further down into one lane instead of two as you approach the 14-mile light heading southbound on Main Street. I don't see how cars are going to be able to get in and out of there at all. I think it's going to be very dangerous. And I think it is very ill-conceived to have this overambitious site at this location. It's a beautiful building, but it also, when they slowed the traffic down, the mile per hour from 35 to 25, and at the time bottlenecked our town as they have now, people go in through the side streets where residents live, where they have kids, and they speed through all the time. They cut through the parking lot from 14 Mile by Water to Go and come out to cut so they don't have to go through the light. And they speed through there all the time. I never pull my car, and haven't for years, into my driveway. I back in, because if I didn't back in, I would never be able to see all the accesses that people are coming from. And they did talk about, I don't know, possibly closing 2 of the entrances into the city parking lot to create some kind of less congestion there, but there's just going to be tons of congestion. And according to what I have read and know, that this council has given this project a 10-year deferred tax break, which, with people in our city who have sewage problems, who have other problems like this young woman is going through where she lives, I feel for you really badly. Because when I drive by and see the little city with the big heart, when I moved here, that's what I thought and that's what I always felt. Now when I drive by there, I see the little city with no heart. Because we are the people. We are the people paying taxes. Yes, they've gotten a lot of new young people in, and when I went over to Detroit Burger Bar on Saturday night just to look for the manager to speak to him, it was packed, standing room only. And I mean, yeah, there's a lot of young people coming in. But the people that are the base of this city, that have been the base of this city, are the bedroom community that has been here. I've been here almost 40 years. And I am really appalled that anybody would approve such a site right next to my home. And then as they said, we let people know who lived within 300 feet of this property about it 2 weeks before the Planning Commission was going to vote on it. So I thank you for your ears, and remember, I mean, if you live here, this is your community too. We've had other mayors that were here and moved out, other people that served on the council and moved out. If you've been here throughout all this for the last 40 years like I have, then maybe you will have a little bit more heart. And I appreciate it. Thank you for listening.
Thank you for sharing. Is there anyone else?
Madam Mayor, Council, thanks for the opportunity. My name's Tim Quinn. I reside on Selfridge Boulevard. I don't have any prepared remarks, but after listening to Ms. Jenny Schaum and Ron and the others, I just wanted to give my support, and I echo their comments regarding the Schaum School. It wasn't that many years ago that we spent millions and millions of dollars to rehab Schaum. I hate to see that money go to waste. I walked the building because I heard it was in disrepair. I didn't go inside, but I have been in, not lately. And the outside seems to be in pretty good shape. I mean, I don't see any broken bricks. The roof seems fine. I'm not a construction guy, but visually looking at it, it seemed fine to me. So I'm concerned that we're moving way too fast to sell this to a developer, and we really don't know what the developer's going to put in there. But I agree. I think we need the green space. I always drive by there and I see kids playing in that parking, the basketball, it's just great to see. And that's part of our community. That's what makes Clawson so unique. The green space where kids can play. Well, you're going to take a big chunk of that away. So I would encourage you, I don't know how you're going to do it, maybe pass a bond. I understand they wanted $3 million for the property. Well, we just spent, $85 million for the schools. Surely we can work with the schools and come up with some solution. $3 million in the big picture is not a lot of money. And I think it would accomplish a lot. Put a bond to the voters and see if they're willing to support it. But I would hate to see us make these decisions so quickly and you can't look back because it's done. So there's my comments. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else? If in order to be heard, you'll have to come up, yes.
Just wanted to bring up one or 2 points on the Schaum area, because I live by there. We are right by the airport, and the planes come low over that Schaum school. So we are on a glide path right there, too, and it's very, very traffic busy when the planes are coming. And we're getting more and more people using that track. coming out in the morning, and at night you'll hear the traffic of the airplanes. It's a very common noise. You kind of learn to live with it. Also, there's a lot of people that are using the park today that, and it's very useful for everybody, and sometimes it's really overcrowded. I mean, there's so many people using the park, and nobody has a big park like that anymore. So I think that's kind of a good point to keep in mind, that we can use the wide open spaces. I have one more question. I understood that the apartment for the seniors was renamed as a low-income apartment now and not a senior citizen apartment. Is that true?
Nick, do you have knowledge on that? I know we're not answering questions. This is a really simple question.
Yeah, the answer is no. That has not been done.
That is not true?
No, that is not true. The name has not changed.
I just wondered, because I know of a lot of people that go in and out of the apartment, and we've met at the senior center. And I just thought maybe it was changing the course of more people into Clawson and being in low-income area. So, you know, I didn't know how it worked as far as paying taxes and stuff. We like the senior center that is at I can't even, I get nervous.
You're good.
The senior center, that's there now. It's very nice, and I know it's only got one road going in and out, and the parking is not so good. But the way they rotate their meetings and everything like that, it works out good, that it's serving as a good place. So I would not want to move it either in a way, because it's, I don't know what else would go in there, you know what I mean? So I just wanted to voice that opinion.
Do you mind giving your name and address too, just so we follow rule, same with everyone?
Give my name and address?
Uh-huh.
Do I have to?
It's part of, I mean, technically,
I'm a
yes.
resident.
Yes, please.
It's the rules. I'm a resident.
Yes, okay.
Okay.
Declined, no problem.
All right.
Thank
I'll
you
tell
for
you
your
by
comment.
yourself.
Yeah, no problem, thank you. Is there anyone else? Can we discuss it? City Council, would you like to amend our rules so that we can have a discussion?
I think someone else is coming up for public.
Oh, yeah, come on, but we can answer the question at the same time. Come on up.
My name is Bonnie Clack. I live on Lincoln, 234 Lincoln. And I just wanted to say what worries me about putting a 62, 64 person apartment complex, our infrastructure is already bad. You're going to add so much more pollution, whatever, to, stress to our infrastructure. And the same with the problems on Bywood flooding. It seems that we need to fix the infrastructure before we start building houses and apartment buildings to increase the use of the infrastructure. Thank you.
Thank you.
A lot of public comment today, so I'll try to be brief. Nate Hara, 413 Park. I'm so grateful for all the residents who showed up today. You were really part of the solution when you're here. I share your betrayal, or feelings of betrayal, over the actions of the city. There's no other way to feel when members of this dais collaborated with this school and the unions there to make these developments, advertise them in bonds that resulted in this terrible thing that's happening in Shawm. It was voted. I don't know what is to be done about it now. But looking back, I hope it's clear that when you collaborated with the school and you made that joint task force team, and I know Mr. Raker, you were part of it, Mr. Shepherd, you were part of it. I don't know how it was overlooked that there was so many residents who would object to the destruction of Shawm in that green space. I don't know how it was overlooked that the way that bond, both of them, were written to completely overlook the fact that it wasn't a zero millage bond at all. It was a very expensive debt that the city and all of our residents are going to pay for 30 years. I feel like there was an opportunity then, and maybe there will be opportunity in the future for all of you who are collaborating with organizations that are signing us up for a great deal of expense in the
Mayor.
future.
The ordinance says that 2-71 says any person making personal, impertinent, or slanderous remarks. Mr. Hara has twice said that we're in some sort of collaboration with the school board, or that we're somehow.
There's a proclamation signed outside here.
Not your turn to talk, sir.
It really is my
Excuse me,
turn.
both
It
of
is
you.
not.
Let me just be in charge of this, so flow of meeting.
Can I finish my point, Madam Mayor?
If you're going to be respectful, of course.
I
you may.
am respectful.
Sure.
Not to me.
He is saying we're in collaboration with people. I find that to be slanderous. It is your call what to do with him now.
I'm going to allow public comment to be public comment. I think there have been words uttered on this dais and in the public that perhaps I've taken, I've had concerns with over the past two, and I think we can't govern ourselves that way. I think he's allowed to speak. I just do. And even if he's talking about me, I'm okay with it because it's his opinion. It's public comment.
I'll respectfully suggest that you are incorrect. Any person making slanderous remarks shall be barred from further audience before the council by the presiding officer.
Thank you.
That is your job.
It is. Thank you. Mr. Hara, you may complete your thoughts.
Well, so let me just say that I would be very grateful if in your role you would defend our residents that are hoping not to be betrayed, are hoping to wake up to the same Clausen that we went to bed in. And as it pertains to the apartment complex that's being planned for PNC, I have been to the Planning Commission where that was discussed, and I would request you to seriously follow up on the city engineer's work in preparation for that plan, because it is not replacing a restaurant with another restaurant or a bank with another bank. There's enormous taxation on the infrastructure that the document that was supplied in the packet almost discloses that they're not signing up to commit to any real preparation for that consideration of the plan. That needs to happen. And this is one example, I think, of where it would be very helpful if you would hold those officials in our city that are doing those plans, the city engineer, the city planner, to a higher standard of preparation for these kinds of things, because that plan is a massive project that I don't think is getting the due diligence it deserves. And I have no ability to challenge it. I'm not on planning anymore. I don't even think people on planning have the ability to challenge that. So please ask very tough questions when it comes across for your desk in the future, because this is setting us up, I think, for yet another disappointment and another betrayal in the future if it doesn't get the attention it deserves. And I truly don't mean any disrespect to any of you. But I think it's a matter of fact that a proclamation was signed to unify the city council with the school board, and that's a new thing. It didn't used to be that way. Those two used to be very separate organizations. And even before that proclamation, there was a deliberate attempt from the school board to engage a task force with the city manager and with other members of council. This is a fact. It's not meant to be slanderous, and I'm sorry if you took it that way.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else?
I have the ballot that we voted on for the school to do what they're doing. And it says prepare, develop, and improve sites of the Baker and Sham building, including demolition of buildings, foundations, parking lot, pavement, and da-da-da. But it says there, improve the site. How much money did the school board put away to improve Sham? Or is that just words they put on here? They should have had a line item that said, for improving Sham, this is the budget for that. Did they take it all and put it into centralizing the schools together? What do they do with that money? Why can't they do what they said here and improve Sham instead of tearing it down? That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Hi, Erin Redmond. I live on 100 Elmwood, and I did email everybody on council, but I kind of wanted to just say it out loud, and I may have missed it. Excuse me. If you've already talked about the large site ordinance or large lot ordinance, when it comes to Shalom schools, there was a large lot ordinance that was signed into order. I believe it was 2011 or 12. But if it's not something that you've already talked about and you're having a discussion, I thought you were having a discussion, maybe I'm wrong. It would be nice if you guys addressed that and maybe even got an opinion on the legalities of that, if that's something that, I just don't want to see it kind of fall to the wayside and then a builder's in there and we're like, oops, well, we forgot to tell you that, and all of a sudden we're getting sued or whatever. Just wanted to kind of put it out there and make sure it's discussed as part of that process. So, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? So we do have a question. Do we want to break rules and allow for discussion on this matter? Would anyone want to?
Madam Mayor, there's been a lot of, what matter there's been so many matters brought up.
I think we're talking Shalom. I think that is the
Fair enough.
concern.
Is it limited to Shalom?
I mean, it's up to you guys. We can have a discussion on anything you would like to open the floor to.
Well, if we're going to open discussions, let's do one topic at a time.
Okay.
No, I would prefer just to leave it to Shalom at this point.
Okay, so that's a motion and a second? Is that a motion and a second, or is that a
Madam
conversation?
Mayor, I make a motion that we suspend the rules in order to have an open discussion on the subject of Shalom schools.
Support.
Roll call, please.
No, discussion first. then.
Well, I'm looking, and nobody moved, so. You guys know how this works. So do we have a discussion?
Well, I'll go.
Do we have to vote?
No.
There's discussions on the table.
If there was a second, you can
Yeah.
have discussion. Thank you.
So it's a difficult situation. We have a lot of very expensive projects that face us. The roads, the infrastructure. We had our first budget meeting. There's a lot of things that the different departments need, legitimate things, security for City Hall and body cams for the police department and radios. And there's a lot of things to spend money on, and we have a very finite amount of money. I agree that Shalom, at least, I haven't been in there since I voted in person, which was before COVID, because I do mail-in now. But anyhow, I haven't been inside Shalom in a long time. Outside, it looks great. It does seem like it would be a wonderful thing if we could preserve it and keep it. But I don't know what the money looks like. And that's my concern. And that's what I was hoping to be able to see what the money looks like. $175 million to fix our road and infrastructure, a bunch of other very valuable requests on the budget. I don't know how we could pay for it. And I don't understand what that looks like.
Okay, so that sounds like discussion, and we hadn't voted on discussion yet.
Yeah.
So do we have any other comments, or are we going to vote on whether or not we have a discussion? Just to keep it clear.
You make the motion and then you have the discussion.
No, we're opening the
vote
floor.
is not on an
So
issue,
it's
it's on
we're not
the
even
discussion
talking
itself.
about it unless it's.
So there was a motion and a second, which means you can have discussion among, obviously, this body. But
Yeah.
if you're opening the conversation to the rest to be able to have a conversation, then you would need to vote, Madam Mayor.
Thank
You're
you.
correct.
That's what I'm looking
Yes.
for, right? Because that's what that seemed like
A
to
wide
me.
open discussion.
Yeah, exactly.
Because the motion was to suspend the rule.
Yes.
Yeah.
To discuss with the community?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or
be the
even that, right? Like
It'd be the
technically.
Wild West.
Not doing that. But does anyone else have, on this board, are we okay to go for a vote for the motion on hand?
To suspend the rules in order to
To
discuss
suspend the rules,
just
yes.
Shalom. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, then let's go for the roll call, please.
Mayor Milan,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett,
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd,
Yes.
Councilmember Anderson,
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll preface with many of the questions and the concerns have been brought before us this evening and for the past several weeks are questions and concerns that this body can't answer because ultimately the control of Shalom, what led up to Shalom, was all done by the school board, as you all know. I think what the number one concern is, what interest would the city potentially have in taking on the responsibility that would be Shalom, which is a huge undertaking. And I agree with residents that you've been here repeatedly and there's been no dialogue and you're looking for dialogue and at least a little hope, like, are we going to entertain? Are we not going to entertain? So our city manager has visited the site and he does have an opinion. It was shared to us in writing. It was not necessarily, we have not had a collaborative discussion about this at any point. And I think it seems like it's only fair for us to do so. And if we can do something, perhaps we look at ways to move forward. If it is so prohibitive that it is impossible, then we just say at least we tried, right? And then some of the concerns that are here definitely need to go back to the school board. I mean, it's their hands that are holding all of this, because we could come up with a great proposal and take it to the school board, and they have concerns that they want to meet, and they may say no because they have other things that they want to meet. So I will bow out and let someone else speak.
If I can, for Madam Mayor, yeah, I have a real soft spot for Shalom, okay? I've lived here 27 years. All my children went through Shalom Elementary. And to the naked eye, it looks like a beautiful facility. Now, I was informed by certain individuals that although it looks good, it's actually in bad condition in things you can't see infrastructure-wise. So I know at our joint meeting between the city and the school board, I actually, at one point, was trying to engage in a little horse trading with them. So can we swap land? Can we swap some Hunter for Shalom? Let's see what we can do here, right? Well, that was all on the assumption that Shalom was in relatively good condition. Unfortunately, it appears it is not. And Mr. Raker, if you could give a little background on the condition of Shalom.
Sure. So when I walked through, it's probably a couple of weeks ago with AEW, our engineer, with Gina Boyd from Parks and Rec Senior Center, and with leadership from DPW and Nick Stepnitz, myself. On its face, sure, looking from outside looking in, but it's very much an institutional building that has some problems. It has kind of like a crawl space that is like a miniature basement underneath the hallway all the way around. That seems to be a concern for the unintended collection of water. The school district has taken measures to put pumps in there and alarms, and then also they have it inspected on a routine basis. But their plan was for long-term in that location was to relocate. So that void underneath the hallways is for all the utilities. And so what they were going to do is relocate all the utilities either in the overhead of the ceiling or actually on the roof itself. And when I provided the information that was used publicly by the superintendent to rationalize the bond initiative, I shared it with council, and I want to say, and I don't have it in front of me, it was almost $5 million for that specific endeavor by itself. So on its face, we're looking at potential acquisition cost of $3 million. Then you're looking at what I would say a reconfiguration study, because that building, it's unique. It is a long, square kind of snake with an open end, and it's really not conducive to what our needs may be. It's definitely a lot more square footage than I believe we would need. It is a financial bridge that I think I can't responsibly recommend to the council that it should be in play and should be a consideration. We have a lot of challenges at this building. We have even more challenges at Hunter. If we were to acquire Shalom, now I have 3 very challenged buildings that what is the city going to do with that? The one thing that's probably the biggest issue, even if we did have a magic wand that could change things and give us the financial wherewithal, the school district has an opportunity in front of it. Right now, the state funding for per pupil and don't quote me exactly, it's just shy of $10,000 per pupil. I want to say it's $9,650 that the school district receives per pupil. So if they get 10 students out of that new development, that's $100,000 a year roughly. Now that's going to change. It's probably going to go up every year. And they think maybe that they can get upwards of 50. And so you monetize that over time. It's not just the money, it's the students, it's the vibrancy, it's the viability of the school district. And I'm positive that the school board is not going to give that up.
Madam Mayor, if I may.
Sure.
One of the other things we have to consider is that, so this came up originally back in 2021. So the plans looked at several different options that the school was facing. They had to downsize. They had to right-size the district. So every option was on the table. One of the things that they looked at was closing down and selling off Kenwood. But they realized that by doing that, that section of town would have no green space whatsoever. And so that was off the table. So that's also something that they were conscientious of, that, okay, something's got to go. And due to the cost and due to the fact that, north of 14 Mile, there is a large park space, there's a large green area, that was one of the considerations that they moved forward with in consolidating the administration over at Kenwood. So that's also something to be considered about for the entire community, because that certainly would have been a detriment to the folks that live south of 14 Mile not having any play area or green space to speak of. So certainly we've been starting to have engagement with the school board, and I think that's a positive thing. I don't think that's a negative thing. I think that whatever we can do as a community in order to help promote our school district, to help grow our school district, will be a benefit to our community. And unfortunately, part of that is that we do have to look seriously at Sholm as not being a viable alternative. It saddens me to say that. But again, this is under careful consideration for a number of years, and it was put to a vote, and the decision has been made.
Yes. All right. So if Sholm is so bad, we have kids there now. And as far as securing the place, it's got locks on the doors and it's got cameras. We already know that Hunter's a disaster and it will cost a lot of money. I propose that we offer up Hunter in exchange, give the school district Hunter and all the houses that could be built on Hunter. Now, I realize also that Hunter does not have as much room as Sholm, all right? So you get a few less houses. But there is a little bit of a housing boom going on town, right? There's houses that are being divided up, lots that used to be big that are now being sectioned off, and new houses are being put up. So the school district isn't really going to lose that many houses, right? And I understand that they want that. I want that for them too. But I don't know how many people are going to be coming in and spending over $500,000 a pop for a house on the Sholm site and then send their kids to Clawson schools. I'm sorry, but I really don't see that as a big reality. I see a better footprint for the city, and the fact that we've paid these taxes, we've probably paid for Sholm over and over and over again in bond issues and taxes and everything else. We've paid for that. So what if you have to put some money into Sholm? So what? You're going to put it into Hunter, which is a lot smaller site, when you could develop Sholm to be something wonderful for the city. Once it's gone for good, and you're letting it go. And I realize that you have a lot of money to spend. I mean, you have to spend on infrastructure. You do. I get it. But eventually that's going to crumble. Put your money into both things. Work with the school district. You've made a collaborative effort to get together now. You have a proclamation. Work with them and explain to them how important it is to the city. We could do all kinds of things. We could not only have a senior center, parks and rec, we could have a youth program there. We could have all kinds of things. And we might get money from the county, from the state, from the federal government. I don't know. But look into it. Don't just turn around and say, oh, well, it's got some problems and so we should let it go. No. Fix it. And trade. Work with the school. Work with them and say, here, take Hunter. You want to tear something down? Tear something down that's already needs to be torn down because it's in that bad of shape. Hunter needs to be torn down. Shalom doesn't need to be torn down. And all that snake business of Shalom, the big square and the snake and the head, you've got lots of room for a lot of different activities there. You've got a lot of stuff going on and a lot of possibilities. And I say fight for those possibilities. Don't let them go.
It's Ginny Sham again. I hesitate to mention this, but I brought the whole thing up about Sham School well over 2 years ago. I know some of you weren't here then. It's really a long time. I thought of something. The bond issue that the school did for the tear down, is there a way, and I don't know about all those election things and proposals, to transfer the money that they were going to use for that for us as the city to refurbish Sham? Is that possible? Or do they have to vote to negate it and you guys vote to the city propose something new? Does anybody know that? If that's possible?
That would be a school board question.
I can't hear you?
That would
We
be a
can't
school board
possibly
question.
tell the school district what to do with their
Oh.
property,
Okay.
okay?
But I mean, that bond issue can't be transferred to the city?
No, it's their property, their bond, their budget. It's a completely different governmental entity. We have no control over it whatsoever, despite people saying we're in cahoots with them.
Okay.
We're not. I don't talk to anybody at the school board. So
No.
I'll tell you this, though. We've thrown some estimates around for $10 million just to fix it, okay? That doesn't include, that doesn't include the $3 million that the school district probably want for us to buy it, okay? $13 million. That doesn't include the money for all these programs and everything else
Yeah,
that
yeah.
we want to do in there. Even if we were to make the school district an offer for $13 million or for $3 million, they likely would not sell to us because they want the students that those, 100 some sites, home sites?
40, I thought it was. I thought at one time it was 40.
Okay, 40, there was 40-some home sites at Shalom. They want the students, and they want the tax revenue from those properties as well. So I just don't see the solution. Everybody keeps talking about, go find some money, have a bake sale.
Yeah.
I know it's a joke.
I know.
But no one has come to me with a legitimate plan. How are we going to get this money to do it? We have $100 million in infrastructure that we have to fix. We have people with flooding basements every spring. We have to fix these things. And I don't mean to sound, like a complete jerk or uncaring, but no one has come to me and told me, where are we going to get the money? And until someone does, I don't know what further discussion is going to do here.
I have another devil's advocate thing to say about if the school decides to sell it for a developer to do houses, with water issues and sewer issues, that's going to bring more infrastructure concerns to the city level. I'm just throwing it out, because we have, you said water issues there. What about that?
Potentially.
That's going to cost us as a city lots of money if we put houses in there and they all of a sudden have all this basement flooding stuff.
So let's go back to the beginning here. We've not had discussions on this, and that's why I'm glad you guys opened this up for conversation, because we have people who are really passionate about a resource that once it's gone, will be gone forever. And people did vote for this millage to support the school district. And I know many of the people in this room and many of the people I've spoken with supported a millage or bond, whatever, to support the school district. They weren't thinking about Shalom. And this day that has now been moving faster and faster, and the district is ready to get their things taken care of, all fair. The question at hand today is, we have a suggestion by our city manager that this perhaps is not a great plan for us, but that's based on numbers and on potential things that need to be fixed and repaired. And I would say on any of our buildings, we have a list of things that need to be fixed and repaired. It's all going to be a certain sum of money, but we're not going to approach them all at the same time because they don't all have the same immediate need. So if Shalom were in a potential place where the immediate fixes we could manage, and we had a plan to take on that space, and we had a school district that wanted to work with us to maintain that space, not for the potential people who would come in the future, but for the residents who've been here for all of these years who have supported that site, which is what you guys are saying, all of that's valid. So the question is, does this body care to have a discussion or work into something in the future where we actually look at something that perhaps could be done with this body to look at this moving forward? If we don't have members on this board that are interested in doing that, then we don't really have anything else to do with this. Right? I mean, we can listen forever and get nothing done, and we haven't had a plan. We haven't had conversations among ourselves to say what the city potentially could or could not do, if that makes it a little more clear. I just think either we can do something, we're willing to do something, or we are not interested in pursuing further. I guess that's where I see it.
You also have the possibility of there being far less parking for 4th of July.
Yes,
I'm
4th of
just
July
throwing
would
that
be an
out as
issue.
another thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
It is. No, I know it's important.
That's one of the
People
biggest
live
things
for 4th
that
of
we.
July, right?
I mean, 4th of July is one of the biggest events in this city.
It is.
If I can say, my dad used to say, to make any sale, it takes two people, an agreeable buyer and an agreeable seller. Right now, the owner is Shalom, or the school districts, excuse me. We have no power over who they sell that to. They could sell to the city, they could sell to a developer, God knows they could sell it to some outside investor that does next to nothing with it. They can sell, I hate to say it, I wish we had more power, but we don't. They can sell to any agreeable buyer. Because believe me, the school board wants to sell. Now, the question is, once they sell, that's the bad news. The good news is, once they sell, whoever owns it, city or some investor, the city has some input as to how that property is being developed. Right now, people are talking about 40 homes. That's a projected idea. But we in the city, we have the authority through the planning commission and through the zoning commission to decide what's really going to be built. So I guess what I'm saying is, the battle may seem lost, but not really entirely. Again, Mr. Raker, I was reading your summary, $5 million to fix up that school is kind of like a low-end number, right? I think it could be as high as 9.7.
That was just to relocate those utilities out of those voids into the overhead and onto the roof.
Yeah, so pretty much the bottom line is it's a money pit. Okay, I hate to say it. I love that school. Got a lot of good memories from there. I think it would make a great community center if it was practical. I just don't know that it is. I think these are the hard facts. But going forward, whoever buys that land will have to answer to the city. At that point, we have some level of control. Now, I'm not going to say, okay, some developer buys it and we come down and say, you know what, our people really like that parking spot and they really like that green space. We're not gonna let you build anything. I guess by de facto ruling, we could do that. But what that would do is it would hurt our reputation. Cities are like people. They have reputations. If we have an anti-business, anti-development reputation, that's going to hurt the city long-term. So I'm just saying that, again, the school, it's out of our control. The school can sell to whoever. Right now, we'd love to buy it. It looks like a money pit. So maybe we need to let them sell to who they will, and then we go from there, maybe having some voice in how it's developed. I'm just throwing that out there as a thought.
Yeah. Well, one statement was made that once they build the houses on there, the schools will get the taxes. I don't believe that's true. If they sell that property to an independent person, doesn't the revenue from the taxes go to the city? Why would they go to the school?
They have both. There are some revenues that go to the city, some will go to the school.
Because just like mine, I pay taxes for the city and the school.
Exactly. And
That's
same,
the same thing.
development, and
But
they'll
they're
do the
not
same.
getting 100% of the taxes. They get a proportion.
Right.
And to think that they're going to get 50 kids or 20 kids out of that area is, just doesn't make any sense.
Well, here's the thing. It's all an estimate, right?
Sure.
Let's put it bluntly. The school district's making an $80 million gamble, and they're hoping it's going to pay off. I hope to God it does. That's what the bond millage was, $80 million. 55 plus 25 was $80 million.
What's the gamble?
The gamble is they're hoping that the school district will survive, that they can reverse declining enrollment. And one strategy is not just to make a presentable school district and school campus building for the outside world, it's to bring students into the city itself. Will that gamble pay off? I don't know. With fairly large homes, you think, yeah, there'll be some kids there and they'll go to the schools. Well, I don't know if that'll pay off or not. I don't know if it'll be married couples with no children. I don't know if it'll be married couples with children that they decide to send to a private school.
Kid.
It's exactly. I can't disagree with that. It is an $80 million gamble that they've taken, and I hope it pays off.
And for the city not to gamble on buying CHOM is a big gamble too, because like we've said along, you lose that green spot, you ain't ever going to get it back. And oh, by the way, you're already funding Parks and Recreation out of Hunter. You just move it over to Shaw. It's already in your budget.
Yeah, it's Shalom or Hunter, not both, right? I mean,
Yeah,
if we
you'd
acquired
have-
Shalom Hunter, we would.
Have you ever
buy
been
Shalom.
over there at lunchtime to try to park and eat there?
Yeah.
Try it sometime. There were 65 people there on Valentine's Day, and all I heard was, "It's terrible parking, terrible parking."
Yeah.
And what the city manager said about the moving all the utilities from underneath the bus, well, that doesn't get done the first year. That may not get done to the 10th year. But you do all the other stuff that you can to make it a good facility, and then you part of your budget every year. You got $1 million or $2 million for Shawn renovation. And that when the guy was here the other day about I don't know what he was presenting, budgets and he showed this one budget that goes up and down, and you can move it in and out. I don't know how much was there. Was there $100 million there or $10 million?
Okay,
I
I can
don't
only
know.
tell you the city itself has an operating budget of about $11 million. So
don't
$1
know.
million or $2 million a year is a big hunk of
And
change.
I don't know
for
what's
the
in
city.
your rainy day fund and where you can get money, but I think you need to look to see where you can and talk to the city, the school board about $2 million for Shaw.
I guarantee Shalom will sell that property for the highest dollar value they can get.
Yeah, and I'd
yeah,
rather not have
maybe.
us getting a bidding war with a developer over that site, right? Because we'd have to keep going back and forth. And the thing is that doesn't necessarily build into what their long-term plans are for the school district, and trying to stem the tide, make sure that we have a viable community of children that attend this school district.
I agree.
So, I mean, that's
But I
part of what
don't
we're
have a
talking
crystal
about.
ball to know if that's we even would put $80 million into consolidating the schools. How do I know that's even going to work? I know it's going to have a big problem with parking when they pick up students every day from the school, from the high school, middle school, and elementary. Plus, where are all the teachers going to park that are moving over there? They're going to park in the parking lot. They're going to take that baseball field that used to be there, put it in the parking lot? Who knows?
Yeah,
But I'd say the people that are on Phillips aren't going to like the traffic jam that's going to be there every day at 3 o'clock to 4 or 5.
Yes, sir, I agree. There are many among us who question the wisdom of the plan they brought forward and have now executed. But at this point, there's no debating it. It's resolved.
Yeah,
We're going to have a
except
campus.
they're in violation of what we voted for. Renovation of Sham was one of the budget items in their budget, in their millage. And have they renovated Sham? No.
Well, there
They've
was
taken the
remedy-
money to do other things.
Sort of on the ballot language, I don't know if we can quote it here, but I think they said it involved renovation and demolition.
Yeah, that was the second paragraph. But the first one was refurb and update Sham
Did they
School.
specifically say Sham?
Yep, I got it right there in my desk.
read it. Yeah,
I got it right here. You want to see it? I can give it to you.
Well, that's another issue.
Yeah, it's outside of our.
Yeah, it's
realm, right?
outside of our-
Yeah, go ahead, Aaron.
Okay, so kind of along the same lines, I'm wondering if we've had, and I don't mean you, but I mean the city as a whole. First, I want to start by saying we don't have a plan for infrastructure either, or do we have the money? I believe that the residents, and I'm not saying I feel one way or another about the Shulm site, but I think that what they're looking for is a collaborative effort and to feel acknowledged. Whether or not they feel a little bit betrayed by the schools, that's one thing, but they're coming to your body because you represent them, and I think they're in the right place in that way. Because we look to you for a little bit of guidance. I don't think anybody here is capable of putting together a big old plan, especially when we've had a city council for years that we're still asking, and I'm not blaming you, we're still asking for infrastructure plans. That doesn't mean we don't talk about it though, right? Because we do. But anyway, that aside, I'm wondering if there has been a conversation with the schools on that 40 number of, homes that's going on there. Is that zoned per our large lot ordinance? Where are they zoning that? Like I said before, it would be helpful to know, because if they come to planning commission and say, oh, well, we were told that we were allowed to put this big of a house and that we could separate it into this many lots, and they have the misinformation, or if the school is maybe thinking it's worth $3 million, but because we have a large lot ordinance, it's worth 1.5. I don't know. Are those conversations we've had? Just curious on that kind of thing. I think it'd be really beneficial to at least parcel that out. So that's all.
If I could, our gentleman has brought forward a copy of the ballot, and I will read the part in contention. It says, preparing, developing, and improving sites of Baker and Shulm buildings. Now, at first glance, like, yeah, it's supposed, that doesn't say renovations, as improve, that's including demolition of buildings, foundations, parking lot for paving, and concrete walkways, as well as the removal of site utilities. I'm no attorney, but I do admit the language is not very clear. Keep in mind when they say preparing, developing, and improving the sites of Baker and Shulm buildings, and I should hand this to the attorney, that can be interpreted as, yeah, we're going to destroy that old building and improve it with some nice, beautiful homes. I'm not saying, again, the wording is not,
So
shall I
let's,
hand this to the attorney?
can we,
No, and I can answer that.
can we go back, to what we can do here as a body? What we can do as a body is determine if this body wants to, I don't know what word to use, pursue options on behalf of these residents who are asking questions. Do we have anyone on this body that wants to figure out how we could do that, to see if there is something deeper that could be done instead of the precursory glance that we've all had that says this is a lot and we don't necessarily want to take that on at this time?
Madam Mayor,
Yep.
may I answer Councilmember Anderson's question?
Of course.
Thank you. So the improvement portion of the ballot language, and remember, the ballot language is binding upon the people that passed the ballot, right, the school board. The ballot language, when it talks about improving real estate, that's a term of art in real estate law. That means not necessarily planting trees and bushes and leaving grass area. That means buildings or structures. So I think, obviously, that's advice that the school board's attorney is going to give to them as far as upholding their end of the bargain that they struck with the residents of the city of Clawson. But I imagine that advice won't steer too far from this statement that the improvement will have to be substantive as far as construction is concerned.
So if I may, so again, what was approved was the demolition of those
first,
sites.
And then improvement thereafter.
So if anything that we do beyond this, we would have to potentially
develop the site.
Yeah. So if I can recap, when talking improvement, the interpretation here is that demolishing Shalom or Baker and building a nice new building, shall we say, that's improvement.
Right, because if you think, again, and this advice will belong to that attorney representing the school board, they'll control this. It's not necessarily before this body. However, that improvement will be such that if you were to purchase it today, you would incur the obligation if somehow were sold to you.
What,
If you'd like to speak, sir, you'll have to come to the podium.
while he's walking, I'll ask my question. Wasn't it said before that if we were going to somehow find a magic pot of money to buy it, that purchasing it would have to go on the ballot?
Yeah, because it's over a certain dollar amount.
Right, so purchasing it would have to go on the ballot, which means we would have to ask the school board to wait to do anything until we could have an election and whether or not the community would support the city buying it. Is that true?
Now I'm blanking on, I know for selling city property, particularly selling parks, that's the case.
Selling is definitely.
But not purchasing, I'd have to look to be able to answer.
Okay, I thought we had said before that was it, but
I
yeah.
think they did say that.
Yeah.
Whether it's correct or not, I think they did say that.
Marty Wozniak, 740 Highland. Now, you guys are planning to tear this building down. Our roads are bad enough.
Not us. No.
Not us.
I know, whoever. Is there a plan for the construction? You know, you're gonna be bringing all these big trucks in. Our roads are bad enough. And is there a plan, or do you have any ideas?
There would be a construction route should that ever happen, yes.
Because Bywood, you know, it's pumping, it's pumping now, the concrete's moving. And, you know, the contractors ain't gonna listen sometimes. They're gonna make their own routes. So just to give you an idea, that's another thing you have to worry about.
Okay.
Sorry, one more thing. I believe that there is a way to lease certain property with the city, just throwing it out there. I think that isn't the school leasing part of the field or part of the certain sports from the city. So I don't know if there's a workaround with the buy and the voting, at least in the short term interim. That's why these conversations are helpful. Sometimes you can spur conversations and people, I don't know if that's a real thing, but from my knowledge, I think that there's a workaround where you can actually lease something from the school, do a trade kind of thing in the interim, but I'll just leave that there.
I just had a brilliant idea while I was listening to other people. I've been in this city since I was born. My family was here generations and decades before that, and I have an excellent memory of things. The city of Clawson is a government entity. And I remember that in the early 50s, Bywood didn't go through the 14-mile road. And there were houses on Phillips that they eminently domained took to put Bywood through. One of my childhood friends' house was there, and they had to move. What about this very minute, we eminently domain Sham School to be the park? That way we don't pay anything, we don't let them sell it, and every other thing, we solve the problem, and we don't have to spend any money.
That's where you're mistaken.
No?
When you use the power of eminent domain, you must pay the property owner the fair market value of the land.
Now, they
So-
started out with a different price than what they're saying now, so.
I'm just saying.
I'm just
the
throwing it
fair
out.
market value of the land.
Uh-huh.
So if we were to take the school's property via eminent domain, we would have to pay them. And then if they don't like the money that we're offering, they'll sue us. So we'll go back and forth like this.
Which would
not-
So
Okay, I thought it was a
they'll
good
get their
idea.
$2 to $3 million.
Yeah, but that way they couldn't
Only-
sell it to somebody else. Right?
So,
I don't have $3 million.
Yeah.
Well, and here's the thing, once you want to buy, the price goes up. They can argue that, mind you, they'd like to sell us the property for 2.5, 3.5 million if they sold it. But once it becomes an issue of eminent domain, they might say, well, you know, this building's got some, that might be worth 10 million, might be worth 15. That's the kind of argument you get over when the eminent domain thing comes in.
Okay, well, I thought it would work.
I want to thank everyone, who was trying to talk here? Did I hear someone?
I could answer Councilmember Moffitt's question. I don't know that it'll help the situation, but there is no limitation as far as acquiring property, it's only disposing.
So only if we were going to sell, so if we were going to sell Hunter in order to get the money for Shawm,
That would have to-
Hunter would have to go on the ballot.
If evaluated
Unless
at
we did a
over
trade.
$400,000.
Would a trade
We could do a
count as
trade
sale?
like they've done in the past,
The
right?
language that we have on the charter states to maintain, develop, operate, lease, or dispose of its property. These are the authority of the council. Subject to any restrictions placed thereupon by law or by this charter, provided that no property of a value in excess of $400,000, and this which shall be annually adjusted for inflation, and no property, equipment, or assets belonging or pertaining to any city-owned or operated utility shall be sold, exchanged, leased, or otherwise alienated or disposed of, unless approved by a majority of the electors voting thereon at a regular election. I think that stands for the proposition that, yes, even when swapping, if you were to think about, exchanging properties, you would have to go to the electors. Again, if the property is valued at $400,000 or more.
And if we were to swap between the schools would have to have their own election?
But that's, their property, as far as their property is concerned, is, obviously, in this particular, not exchange, because that's not the right term, but in this particular deal, so to speak, the schools are basically their own private entity, obviously, have nothing to do with this body. You have no authority over them, as has been stated several times by the members of the dais.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that this body, I don't know what I'm doing. I would like to make a motion that this body, that we direct the city manager to investigate any potential plans that we could feasibly take on the Shawm property, right? Like, whatever they may be, give us a few options, and then bring it back to this body to see if it's anything that we would want to take on.
Support,
Modify it, please.
well, I think we need a timeline on that.
Oh, yes,
because-
thank you, yes.
Yeah. So I move you amend your motion to add a timeline of, by next council meeting, and I only say that it's short, but, we had kind of already, I'm editorializing, is there a second to that, and then we can discuss.
Is there a second?
By the next council meeting is the.
Is the amendment.
Oh, well, okay, so.
So we need a second to that.
Support.
Okay, so if I can start my editorial, then the only reason I made it so quick is because I do recall at the joint council school board meeting, we sort of asked for the same thing. And so, so some of that work should have been done. And I also said by the next council meeting, because the school board's not going to continue to wait as we deliberate about this. So I don't think we're asking for find out how we can do it. We're finding out, is it at all something that could be done? Like, bring us all the possibilities so that we can have a substantive discussion to say it just is no way we could do it, or maybe we could try this and try this. So we need to be able to put it to bed in the next couple weeks, because it has been going on. I forget when we had the school board thing, but that was like in January or something, right? I forget. But so it's been going on for a while. That's my thoughts.
Any other thoughts?
I support that, but I do think in the end it will probably be an exercise in futility. But I think all the pieces, the costs, Mr. Raker, you have them. I guess we'll just need to present a more comprehensive view of how good or really bad this could be. There are a lot of ways to go with this, right? I mean, there's buying the property. But again, the school board, they don't have to sell to us. That's the problem.
But we can't control that part. Let's
Yeah.
control the part we can, and let's be responsive and respectful to our community, and consider it as everyone's correct in saying once that resource is gone, that space, that opportunity, we don't have anywhere else. We could put a wonderful facility, and there are a lot of communities that have phenomenal community centers. They all cost a lot of money. It's not like we're going to do anything for free, but maybe there are some options. Maybe there are things that could be done with that space. Maybe we could, there's just a lot of different thoughts that could be had to make it work, and maybe make it work for everyone. Maybe unload some of that property for housing still and give them Hunter. And I would just like us to feel like we did our due diligence on this, and not to give you another task, Mr. Raker, but it's important to people, and I would just love to see us have that final conversation that we actually gave it a due diligence instead of it's insurmountable, let's just not even try this.
I could springboard off of something Councilmember Anderson said is, I would hope that the presentation isn't just why we can't do it, but to give us an understanding of what it would take. Like, okay, if you want Shalom, then no roads for you, or if you want Shalom, that means we can't give our police chief body cameras or something like that. Like, we would like, not just why it can't be done, but what we would have to, what it would cost us, not just in dollars, but what we'd have to give up in order to entertain this.
Yes, every dollar we spend on this is a dollar not going somewhere
Right,
else.
right.
I have to explain that? I mean, that's pretty obvious.
No,
at the end of the day, I will give you options. I will give you options. I will paint the numbers for you, and however the will of the body, we'll give it a shot. But I've been sharing this information. I've been answering the calls of these individuals that have come forward. This has not been a discussion with the school district until the advocacy of the residents. Shalom was never in play. Mr. Schellenbarger was talking about Baker, I was talking about Kenwood. And from that, we never really materialized anything. And it wasn't until this started becoming a reality that, hey, let's start talking about this.
Well, and that's fair, right? That's how things, it may not be something that can be done, but, they had reasons for wanting us to take Baker, and they had reasons for not wanting to give up Kenwood, and.
I was the partner at Kenwood.
Yeah, well, right, so there's reasons for all of it, but there's only one opportunity to give us our due diligence and then move on, right? Everyone will be content if we do our due diligence, and let's not shoot our community. They're 100% right. These people have paid, and I've not lived here as long as everyone else, so these people have paid for that school forever, and that space is all of Clawson, right? If we keep that, if there's a way we can keep it, it benefits the community. It doesn't benefit the city. It doesn't benefit, it will benefit all of us. It will benefit the school district, because you have a great place for children to go. Your neighborhood's inclusive. People like old school neighborhoods still. That's why they live in Clawson. That's why you buy a small house in Clawson, because you can take your kids to these places. It's good when you have mid-aged kids, when you can trust they're at the park and you can drive by and see them if you don't necessarily trust they're at the park, right? Like, everything's open, and it's just community. And if it's not something we can save, we can't save it. And I thank everyone who came here tonight. I thank all of you guys for even entertaining this, because I know it seems insurmountable, and it may very well be, but we don't know unless we try a little bit. And
Madam Mayor, I appreciate the sentiment and the
sorry.
goodwill. Sorry.
I'm so sorry.
But, first step is, will the schools go along with this? What is their intention, right? I think it's very clear, their intention is to sell the property.
Well, and we
Right,
can't
and not
control that.
necessarily, yeah, I mean, as far as what that then means, we've had the numbers out in front of us. We know exactly what it's gonna cost. And, if it's already pre-discussions with the developer, and we get into the mix, again, talking about whether or not they'd even willing to have discussions with us at that point in time, or do we have to get into a bidding war in order to do that? I just think the discussion with the school should have happened a long time ago regarding this, and at this point in time, we already know what the answer is, unfortunately, so.
It kind of did happen, though. At the joint meeting, they said, go ahead, figure it out. Make me an offer, whatever. I mean, they opened the door. You could be 100% right, because you're closer to it, but they opened the door for the discussion. Again, we're not looking to come, we want everyone to understand the entire lay of the land, have an open conversation about it, so everyone knows why we end up where we end up, and I think that's all we're asking for.
Yeah.
Glenn, I do have a question for you. In that $80 million of bond money, isn't part of it set aside to demolish the buildings? In other words, again, I don't know all the details, but if Shalom really wants that to be developed for homes, in theory, they could demolish the building and then sell it. And at that point,
The intention was always, the intention originally when the scope of what they were going to do to consolidate was to demolish Shalom.
and thus,
And that was back in 2021.
right, so is it their intention to basically, through their own funding, demolish Shalom, sell it and say, here you go, piece of land, pile of rubble?
I believe that's,
have at it.
I believe that's correct.
Right, so in other words, that's a decision completely within their control. So to get them, it's not just a matter of will we buy the land, it's will we persuade them to not demolish it?
Well-
That's all part of this proposal, right?
Yeah, and we
Madam
don't
Mayor?
control any of that, right?
Yeah.
But we control our,
Madam Mayor, I respectfully suggest there's a motion to amend on the table, and discussion should be limited to the motion to amend, or we should have a vote.
well, I was just going to call for a vote, so if everyone's in agreement to that, let us call for a vote.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
No.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
now we have to vote on the motion, but I would like to have some discussion on the actual motion. I've said this before in previous things, in the joint school board meeting. I'm willing to listen to any good idea. And we'll see what the city manager comes up with should we pass this resolution. But I'm not hopeful, but if someone can bring to me a plan that makes sense, then I will give it my full consideration.
Thank you. Any other comments? Roll call, please, Michelle.
Councilmember Shepherd?
No. It's no.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Michelle, could you please read what we just agreed to for clarity? I mean, I know, but I want it on record.
I have consideration of directing the city manager to investigate plans that can feasibly be obtained regarding the Shalom property by the next city council
Okay,
meeting.
thank you. So, thank you to everyone. We will do our due diligence to at least address this. I know it's a really passionate thing for so many people, and let's just, no promises, nothing's changed about the insurmountability of it all, but we hear you, we are gonna talk about it, and that's great, right? Yes, sir.
Is Sean going to be on the agenda at the next council?
It will, right, Mr. Raker? By virtue of this,
Yes, it will be, which I also had shared in,
that he was going
Yes.
to put it on the agenda anyways. I will give him credit for that, yes. It was part of his plan. Okay, last question.
One last question. Could we include, in the plan, like trades, like maybe we give the school district 100, and maybe the school district
they lease the football field from us. Maybe we give them the football field, you know, in trade. I mean, or lease a football field. Right, or, well, give them the football field. They use it. The city doesn't really. I mean, and give it so that they don't ever have to pay for the football field. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, horse trading.
Great ideas. We'll come back with you in 2 weeks with some more ideas. No pressure. Okay, we're good?
Get the eminent domain.
Can I ask a question?
Why not?
Since it's still, you haven't closed it yet, right? You didn't close this part?
There's a gavel, though.
And, yeah, leave your gavel. All right. So my question is, if we are supposed to come back with a great plan, if the school is concerned, and rightfully so, the reason, my understanding that they wanted to demolish the building is they didn't want a charter school to come in and things like that. Totally understandable. I don't know if there is, and I'm assuming the answer is yes, just making sure, if we did potentially purchase it from the school or trade or however we get it from the school, we put some type of deed restriction on it, if that would ease the mind of the school, keeping the integrity. That $5 million demolition, that's a plus on our side, right? Because that's saving them $5 million in your pocket that you save. We're a better buyer. So just saying. Yeah, and also still curious about the lot thing. Nobody ever answered. But anyway, all right, thanks.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. We're going to close this section of our meeting. It was great. We're going to move on to the agenda. We're at item number 12, and we are ready for our city clerk's report. Michelle. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Just for a quick report regarding the election coming up on next Tuesday. Early voting began last Saturday and will run through Sunday, the 25th. As of Monday, we had 9 voters that voted in early voting, with a total of 190 voters with Troy Clausen combined for the first 2 days, almost 3 days, because it was. I don't know how many they had today yet. So we just wanted to give that report. As far as our absentee voting, we've had 1,408 absentee ballots issued with about 60% returned. We still have close to 500 out, with that ballot that they submitted. They want a permanent ballot but not return the card. So they still have time to do that. The last day to mail would be Friday by 4 o'clock. Otherwise, they'll have to vote in person here. And then I think if anyone wants to know where the early voting site is, it's Troy Community Center in Troy. It's on our website, the address. Feel free to go out there and vote early. I did visit the site. It is very similar, set up just like our regular precincts are. It's just that it's open daily. Right now, it's open from 8:30 to 4:30. Except for Thursday would be a 12 to 8 o'clock, is there a late night for them. So over the whole statewide, still the numbers are not very, very many. I think we were at 11,000 as of the 18th, total for the state, because everywhere in the state is voting early with this election was mandated by legislature. So the 9 days is mandatory, and that's where we're at right now, so.
Okay, thank you, Michelle. We'll move to our city attorney's report on item number 13. Mr. Nushai.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, members of council. Just very briefly, 2 items. At the last meeting of council, we went into closed session regarding pending litigation that we have, the city of Clausen versus Zetes. Council directed me to make a counteroffer. I wanted to let you know that the counteroffer was accepted, and just as outlined by council. And I have prepared the consent judgment, shared it with the other side, and we anticipate signing off on it shortly and ending the matter and beginning those improvements. The second item, Madam Mayor, as you will know, of course, but for the rest of the members, the Ordinance Review Committee met today briefly, and at the end of our meeting, part of the conversation developed into what items should we take up next. What is of importance of strategic importance and immediate need as far as the review committee is concerned, as far as this council is concerned. And I think the agreement among all members of the committee was that we present that question to obviously the entire city council and inquire into your mind, that is to say, what is important to you? What do you think? Do you have any ideas as far as what should take precedence in our consideration so that we deal with those items first and bring them back to city council immediately? You've heard, obviously, in the past, we've talked about certainly my feelings, and I think the city manager shares my feelings that the contracts are important to be taken, the purchasing authority. Mayor today, I believe, mentioned vacancies, developing a proper procedure as far as dealing with vacancies would be important. I don't know if anybody has any ideas, or if you don't have any you'd like to ponder, please let us know so that we can take those on.
Okay.
Otherwise, I have nothing else, Madam Mayor.
Okay. We'll move on to the city manager's report. Mr. Ricker.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. On Tuesday, February 27th at 6 p.m. at the Blair Library in their community room, we will have DPW Recreation and the Senior Center for their budget conversation. The reason for this location is that date also happens to be the presidential primary election, so the City Hall community room will be occupied for the election, and the Planning Commission will be here in the chamber. Also, the library community room has much better technology, which will enable a better presentation and discussion. I want to share a heartfelt compliment from the owners of Clausen's New Florist Blooms. I visited the store today to follow up with them from their grand opening. They made a point to explain that John Weingarten of the building department was exceptionally helpful in assisting them with all that they needed to complete prior to opening. So on behalf of Blooms, a hearty thank you for your support to John Weingarten of the building department. The Oakland County Treasurer's Office requested that I read the following. Regarding their Oakland County Treasurer's Office foreclosure prevention. The Oakland County Treasurer's Office is in the final stretch of our foreclosure prevention efforts. The tax foreclosure deadline for the 2021 or prior year taxes is on April 1st, 2024. That means if these taxes aren't paid off by April 1st or any interested party hasn't entered into the repayment schedule with the Treasurer's Office by then, the property will be foreclosed. Since December of 2023, the Treasurer's Office has conducted over 1,000 taxpayer assistance meetings to assist taxpayers with keeping their properties by working with them to get on a repayment schedule and or by identifying resources that may be beneficial to them and their situation. We are here to help and strongly encourage taxpayers to contact us before the tax foreclosure deadline if they have delinquent taxes for 2021 or prior tax years. Taxpayers interested in scheduling a taxpayer assistance meeting may call the Oakland County Treasurer at 248-858-0611, or they may visit www.oakgov.com/treasurer. Again, we are here to help and strongly encourage taxpayers to contact the Treasurer's Office if they have delinquent taxes for 2021 or prior tax years. If they are interested in scheduling taxpayer assistance meeting, they may call us again, 248-858-0611, or they may visit www.oakgov.com/treasurer. And last item to council, reminder, I sent you a request for your availability regarding the budget proposed timeline workshops during specific weeks and thoughts on your way forward for goals and objectives. Pending any questions, that's my report.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. To follow up, a resident asked about the senior apartments being reclassified as low income. You answered we didn't change the name. Did the classification get changed? I just wanted clarity on that.
No, I'm sorry. I was trying to answer that between all the conversation. But no, there has been no change in name or classification.
Okay, cool. That's it.
Okay. City council comments. Councilmember Binkowski.
None for me tonight.
Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Moffett.
I do have a comment. At the last council meeting, you heard the city attorney give me a tongue lashing for what I consider my job as your elected council member. I thought it was important to assure the public there is nothing improper about my actions. I consulted a reputable municipal attorney about what was said about my conduct at the last council meeting. I was assured that there is no impropriety in my attending committee meetings as a member of the public. The attorney chuckled at the assertion that the mere presence of 3 council members in a room would be a violation. The attorney also assured me that using my fundamental rights of freedom of speech was not an attempt to divorce myself from my elected obligations. The counselor went on to say that there's a greater chance of litigation around attempts to suppress freedom of speech than any of the other outlined legal entanglements threatened. I will always do my job. I will always listen to the members of the public. I will be available for discussion, and I applaud everyone passionate enough to make your thoughts heard and to make a difference.
Anything else? Thank you. Councilmember Shepherd?
No comment.
Thank you. Councilmember Anderson?
No.
Okay, so I would just like to say Thursday, the Police Department Citizens Academy starts. If you haven't signed up, I think you can still sign up, but that's going to be fun. And then I would just like to say, I was sitting here thinking about all that we went through tonight in our couple of hours together, and it was a pretty good municipal meeting because we had a really good representation of our public. We had a lot of impassioned speakers. We spoke about good things like all that the Planning Commission has done over the past year and the ways the city is growing and moving forward. We heard residents talk about concerns with our infrastructure and also concerns about maintaining our community and providing opportunities. And I would just like to say it's a pleasure to be part of all of that. I like the conversation, which I know probably everyone doesn't love, but I like the conversation. I think we get somewhere with it, and I applaud the people who aren't afraid to speak, even when we don't always like what's being spoken to. And I apologize to those people who come before us and they're looking for an answer, and we just don't have one yet. We're working on it, and our goal is to be able to serve you and to be able to provide you answers, so just be patient with us. And if we all continuously work together, we can achieve some of these things that we all want to do together. So I'm off my soapbox now. I'll call for a motion to dismiss.
Madam Mayor, I move we adjourn.
Support.
Please.
Councilmember Anderson?
Yes.
Councilmember Binkowski?
Yes.
Mayor Milan?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Moffett?
Yes.
Councilmember Shepherd?
Yes.
Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.